Jimmy McAllister found the net. Goal for Wednesday.
A terrific goal by Shayna.
Chris Waddle, is he going to have a crack?
Oh, he does, and it's goal. Still Glenn Wheeler! Aidan Wednesday! Is there time for a winner?
The international break is nearly over. Back to Hillsborough this Saturday, and with it a chance for us fans to apply further pressure on the Dapon Chancery ownership of Sheffield Wednesday. Hello and welcome to Wednesday Tie-Dye Podcast. I'm James Mappin. This is the debate show. The Sheffield Wednesday Supporters Trust special as well this evening. I'm delighted to say that I'm joined by three members of the Trust. We've got Ian Bennett, the chair of the Trust, James Silverwood, the vice chair, and Jake Lee, member, who has been instrumental in organising the protest that you've either seen or partaken in the recent weeks or months. I'll just bring them up now. Guys, thanks for joining me. Obviously, we'll go around and I've got quite a few questions already that I'm going to be posing to yourself. We've also asked for questions over on X, which I've got some which I will go through a bit later on. But if you are watching live or listening to this live and you have a question, do get it in the comments, or better still, come over to X Spaces and you can ask the question yourself. We are just going to be speaking about the things that the Trust can talk about. We may get into some actual football talk if there's time a little bit later on. So it's not going to be the traditional debate show. But like I said, I will come over to people over on X Spaces a little bit later. Also, if you have a question, put Q before the question. It just makes it easier for me to find them, because I'm sure there's going to be quite a few in the comments as well. Right, like I said, I've got a few questions of my own to start. James, I'll start with yourself. First of all, there's two things that people have been talking about. But the first one was what was in the Star earlier by Alex Miller relating to the debt owed to the stadium. Now, I know this is something that you were aware of as the Trust, but is there anything else that you want to add? And I suppose for those that aren't aware of what we're talking about, just kind of add a little bit of context as well, James.
Yeah, so just briefly, the history behind this, for those who don't know, 2020, 2021, it was actually roughly about a year after we'd first formed the Trust. I remember got a phone call from a local journalist at the time and said, look, I think Dapon Chancery's taken a loan out against the ground. And at that time, it was for £6 million. Now, subsequently, the value of that loan over the years has risen to 7.4 million. It was always a short-term loan, so it was always a loan that matured after a year from 2020, 2021. So there's always been, on the 30th of September, Dapon Chancery has had to refinance this loan. Obviously, the difference between now and previous years is that whereas in previous years he was a bit hard up, he's now completely run out of cash. So what happens on the 30th of September is this loan matures again. And at that point, he has to engage in negotiations with the lender, which is a company called New Avenue Projects Limited. And there are a number of different potential scenarios. One is that New Avenue Projects ask for the loan to be repaid in full, that they ask for a portion of the loan to be paid back, or they again refinance it and roll it over for another year, with extra interest added, of course, on top of that, and a higher interest rate. So the size of the debt would grow, but it would mean that Dapon Chancery could put off paying it for another year. Now, our understanding is that there are probably two of these scenarios that are more likely. One will be that New Avenue Projects ask for a portion of that 7.4 million to be paid back. So they'll go to Dapon Chancery and say, look, we've seen everything that's happened at Sheffield Wednesday. We've seen that you're not paying the wages on time, so on and so forth. We think, or we have a worry that you're not going to be able to meet your continued interest payments on this, and therefore we want a portion of the loan back. And we believe that in this scenario, they're going to probably ask for 3.4 million. So a hefty chunk of money that he quite clearly doesn't have at this moment in time. So if they make that request, then he has to find that 3.4 million. If he can't, then New Avenue Projects have a decision to make. And one of those potential decisions would be, at that point, they bottle it or they fold and they refinance anyway. Or basically they would go to court to try and recoup that 3.4 million payment. And if that 3.4 million payment doesn't come through the court procedure, then that would essentially end with Sheffield Wednesday being placed in administration. So it's not a foregone conclusion that Sheffield Wednesday are going to be put in administration. Dave Chansiri might find a lender. He might find an unscrupulous lender to give him some money to pay off the 3.4 million. He might find the international equivalent of, Wonga, who are going to offer him a short-term loan at high, massive interest rates. So we might well find the 3.4 million. New Avenue Projects, like I say, might bottle it and roll it over again, in which case he dodges another bullet, or New Avenue Projects might ask for the 3.4 million payment, and he can't find that money, and they take him to court, and then we're into the possible realms of administration. So there are three potential scenarios, really.
Yeah, I mean, there's a question here from Rum Punch Man. Is it a personal loan or is it against the club? Do you know?
So the New Avenue Projects Limited loan is against Sheffield 3 Limited, is my understanding. Now, there is a little bit, I've seen two dissenting opinions whether the loan ultimately falls on Sheffield Wednesday Football Club or whether it stays with Sheffield 3 Limited. So there is dissenting accounting opinions on this. I've seen it argued both ways. In terms of other borrowing that Dave Chansiri does, that's personal borrowing. So we've got indications from the English Football League now that at least part of his funding of Sheffield Wednesday over the 10 years that he's owned the club has come from basically him borrowing personally to fund his expenditure at Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah, just another one. Neville says, "Why do you think it's going to be 3.4 million? Have you spoke to people at New Avenue? New Avenue Projects, isn't it?
Yeah. So we've not spoken directly, but someone on our behalf has spoken to Nigel Weiss and New Avenue Projects Limited. Yeah, and that is the figure we were told.
Great stuff. Right, let's move on. Ian, I'm going to come to you, James. I'll come back to you in a second to talk about kind of some of the stuff that the trust have been doing. But Ian, it was announced last week that over £30,000 was donated by Wrexham Football Club to the trust following the sales of that gold shirt from last season. First of all, Ian, it was an incredible move by Wrexham to do such a thing like that, weren't it?
Unbelievable, and I think all three of us on here can't believe that sort of generosity were available. Secondly, how well have other clubs done this season when we've been away from home? It started with Leicester, which is probably the most effective protest. I've said this on here before, but it's probably the most effective protest there's been in EFL history, as in for promotion on the TV, everything. It happened to be on Sky, didn't it? But what a fantastic thing. And then obviously the Bolton game away, a small, 8,000 there. They handed leaflets out there. Trusts were fabulous. And then to start with, I think Jake will back this up, but Wrexham weren't very, shall we say, open to us doing anything at the game. I think Otto, one of the guys on the board, got in touch with their supporters trust. They put pressure on Rob McElney. The next thing is, they welcomed us with open arms. I were only one at few who actually got a ticket because of limited tickets. We went, they helped us absolutely no end. We got the banners up, we got everything. Then they came out with this thing where the black and gold shirts were going to be sold. The figures I saw or were told, I think even Wednesdayites bought about 900 shirts, from Sheffield addresses. So
I got one for my lad. I got the kit for my lad, so he's got a plethora of football shirts. I thought,
and then obviously we tried to work out how much it was going to be, and suddenly somebody released this £37,500, which we thought were absolute pie in sky. I think James nearly collapsed when he saw it, didn't you, mate? But yeah, and then the next thing is there it is. And it's I don't know exactly how many shirts. There were over 2,000, weren't it, shirts they sold. So it's an unbelievable gesture. And if you look at the way they've set that up, that's the exact type of owner. If you're going to get a rich owner that we want, they've engaged with the fan base, they've engaged with the people in the area, they bought into the mentality of people. And that's not an easy thing to do in Sheffield, is it? With Wednesday Heights, it's not going to be easy. But that's what they've done. If we can get an owner like that, that'd be incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose for those wondering, Ian, and maybe this might be a question for James as well, but what does that money go towards? What is the trust going to be using that money for? I know you donated a healthy sum of money quite recently to the Children's Hospital charity as well, but yeah, what's that money going to be going to?
Jake's got some figures that we've spent on protests, etc., and what we're going to do. So I'll just hand that one to Jake because he's got some definite figures, I think, mate.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, then. I mean, it's a long game, isn't it? You know, we've been protesting now for 2 years. So yeah, every protest costs money, and you know, we flew an aeroplane over at Leicester that were well over £1,000. Every time we buy leaflets, obviously this Saturday will be the last time we do that. That's £600 to £800. You know, banners, you're talking way over £1,000. Stickers, digivans. You know, the list goes on, and the thing is, yeah, we're sat on a bit of money at the minute, but we're going to need it, aren't we? You know, if we're going to protest every week, we've got some really, really big plans lined up for big live TV stunts, shall we say? You know, so when it's on Sky, we've got some really big ideas that will get a lot of media attention, and they're not cheap either. So yeah, basically we're in a good position as a trust here, you know, that one with a mandate to protest, that we've got a bit of money in bank, but we can't throw it all at the first game that comes along. So yeah, so you know, gradually we'll use that for what it was intended for. I mean, Wrexham donated us that money, you know, for the protest fund, but we you know, we'll always help Children's Hospital, we'll help charities where we can, and hopefully, you know, one day. We'll have a new owner, and we might have a bit of money in bank to do some positive things, you know, for the new owner and for the club and for the community, because Wednesday don't do anything really for the community, and that's sad. So hopefully one day as a trust we'll be able to use that money for positive things. Until then, we'll use it to protest, and we'll protest as much as we can, as often as we can, and you know, and we'll target big media attention, really.
Yeah, of course.
Can I just jump in, James? Just a quick one. I've absolutely no doubt they're going to send it to us. But just for your viewers and listeners, we haven't actually got the Wrexham money yet. The £37,500. It's not been sent to us. I'm sure they will send it to us, but just in case, I don't want anyone to kind of go away thinking we're sat on a massive wedge of cash in the bank account, because it's not been sent to us yet. And the other thing, just on the finances, if anybody's really interested, we are, as the trust, regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority. We do publish yearly accounts, and they are all publicly available. So if you really want to nerd out on where the money goes, you can download those and have a look for the entirety of the trust history.
There was a question from Lee, I think, that on X, saying that the trust needs to be more open on where money and donations is being spent on. Don't want any accusing them or DC's mates accusing them, but you've answered that question there, so that's absolutely fine. Ian, I'll come back to you a sec, because there was a protest last week. I know it was international break, and a lot of people saying, "Oh, we need to carry on doing things." But the London Owls obviously took it upon themselves to organise a protest down in London outside the Thai embassy. You know, there was a lot of people that went down there. I unfortunately wasn't one of them, but I know you guys did go down. I mean, how did that go from your perspective, Ian?
Myself and Jake went down there from the board, and I couldn't believe how many people actually turned out. I spoke with that James had liaised with James Silverwood had liaised with him while I spoke to London Owls. We were expecting 80 to 100. I reckon there were 150 and possibly more there. It went really well. The fact that they actually came out and spoke to us were incredible. The fact that they passed the letter on to the ambassador, and he passed it on to the King of Thailand, unbelievable. Right, so effective. I think some of the media attention was excellent. We got it on, you know, the local TV. Look North and Calendar. And yeah, again, what a fantastic thing that London lads put on a fantastic show. You can't help it. I can't help but praise them. I think one of the things that we want to put across is any of the other fans group or anybody who wants to protest, if it's legit, we'll support it, right? We're not just out there on our own. We want people to protest. We want people to do things. I think there's this misplaced idea that we're all on our own, and we'll perhaps come on to that later, and the trust does this, and we're a divisive element. Absolutely opposite for me. I just want people to make it be known that, you know, we want people to protest, and we'll back them.
Ian, just on that, there's quite a few questions in the comments. One from Mark. Did we have any reply from the letter, or are we expecting nothing back from it? I think there was also another one online as well asking, and I think there was a letter that Clive Betts sent as well. Has there been any response at all from any of those, to your knowledge?
As far as I know, no. James might be able to say. I think the London lads said they'd had nothing yet. But obviously, it's only a short while ago. We're talking about hierarchy of people's countries. They've got a lot more to deal with than Wednesday Supporters Trust, haven't they? But yeah, or the
this
London
should be the biggest thing on their agenda, Ian. The Sheffield Wednesday Football Club should be the biggest problem.
It might well be after last week. Yeah, go on.
The letter that the London Owls and Trust delivered to the ambassador referenced a letter that the ambassador had sent to Clive Betts, and in the letter to Clive Betts, he referenced the fact that he had spoken to Dave Chansiri about his conduct at Sheffield Wednesday. So that conversation has already taken place. So I think actually the Thai government has, to the limits that it probably can do, has tried to intervene on our behalf, and I think we should thank them for that, because it would have been very easy for them to have ignored it, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it can get, well, I suppose it's highly embarrassing for him, but seemingly he's just sticking his head in the sand. Jake, I'll come to you in terms of some of the protest stuff. There's been many protests that's been organised. Walk through the park, turn your back on 10 minutes, boycott on tickets, boycotts on merch, food, drink, enter after 5 minutes, carry a coffin through the park. I've missed a few on that list already. In your opinion, Jake, do you think the protests have been effective up to now?
Yeah, certainly. It depends how you define effective. They've got the right media attention. They've got to Chansiri. He does see him. We know that he likes his internet, and he does like to look at what we're doing. So hopefully he's on tonight. Hi, if you're there. But yeah, essentially, the only thing you can do when you're protesting, is get attention. And, we've been called attention seekers before. That's exactly what we are. We're seeking attention. We're seeking media attention. And all we can do really is put the pressure on. So, when we do that, we hope that people around him are talking to him and they're saying, look, have you seen what's happened? And we're hoping that puts pressure on. It's only one angular attack. We've got plenty of other ones as a trust. But in terms of protest, yeah, because we started off as a club, not the trust, but as a club, as a protest movement, we started off with a few leaflets that got into local press. And it's gone from that to nationwide news, even international news. We've had Bangkok Post, we've had New York Times. So yeah, it's effective because it's out there, and it's seen and it's heard, and that's about as much as you can do, really. People will say, "Does he care?" I think he definitely cares. I think it gets to him. Will it work? I don't know. It might not. It might. But what's the alternative? Do we just go every week, clap along, and hope to God that one day he leaves, or do we try and put pressure on him? The whole idea of protesting is to put pressure on that guy and make him feel uncomfortable. And I think we're definitely doing that.
Jake, these calls from certain people saying that Sheffield Wednesday isn't a protesting club. What do you kind of say to that?
I think Rob Staten said that once, didn't he? I don't know. I disagree. I think there's a video online that shows all the protests today. The thing is with protesting, you can't get people to just do the maximum protest straight away. It's been a long process, and we're gradually building. What makes protests a bit harder at the minute is people have took the other angle of attack, which is actually the best one, and they're not going. And if people aren't in the ground, it's very hard to protest. So the home games now, when we're looking at organising these, and there's a lot of people involved in doing it, it's not just me, there's probably 15 to 20 people actually involved in some capacity, whether they'll be volunteers or the subcommittee organising things, people coming up with ideas, everybody that emails Trust in. There's a lot of people involved, but all we can really do is keep pushing that message home. Now, at home, it's going to be hard because there might be 15,000 there on Saturday. But what I would do is call to them 15,000 that may have season tickets. You can argue whether they should be going on or all that. I've got a season ticket. I haven't been yet this year. I'm going on Saturday, but I'm going to protest. He's already got me money. I might as well be in ground. Now, there's two ways to go about this. We can go in ground, season ticket holders, and do absolutely nothing. Or we can go in ground and have a go. And I think that's the key. Whatever angle or attack you're going at, them people that aren't going anymore, by the way, are really hurting him. Really, really hurting him. But the people that are going, they, in my view, need to get involved in the process. Whatever it is, whatever's put forward, get involved in it, and and keep the pressure on every week. That's about as much as we can do in ground.
I think when I spoke to the Reading lot, when I spoke to Sell Before We Die, I think one thing that certainly resonated for me and people that listen to the podcast, I've mentioned this a couple of times, is how they said that, they did multiple different things. When they did the tennis balls, when they did the sit-in protest, they did clown face paint, they did loads of stuff, they did a march. They didn't get 100% of their fans attending every single one of these, protests. They didn't have, if there were 10,000 fans in ground, they didn't have 10,000 tennis balls raining down on the Medeski Stadium. They didn't have everyone having clown face paint on, but that doesn't mean that it's not effective. The fact that when people were walking through the park, there was the one that I attended back in the last season. I wasn't there for the one when the coffin going through Hillsborough. But you look at the pictures and it's a sea of people walking through, and it's about having that kind of visual impact. You don't need 100% of people joining in with something in order for it to be effective.
No, it's true. You could argue that as most successful ones being Leicester, and that away attendance went, obviously it weren't 20,000 people, were it? Yeah, so you don't need everybody, but at home, at Leicester, everybody bought into that, didn't they? Pretty much. There were a few murmurings of people that weren't happy with it. But at home, we sort of don't quite get that full buy-in. And we need it. We desperately need it. And what we really don't need is putting ideas out there. And they're very hard to come by the way. They're not. We don't just have a quick chat and come up with something and put it forward. They're hard to come by. They're well thought out. When we do come up with an idea, last thing we sort of need is these comments. It's not going to work. What's the point? All that. If you want him out, just stick with us and have a go.
We'll come on to that in a second, Jake. I just want to come back to James a second, because I know James, the Trust have been doing an incredible amount of work behind the scenes. Some stuff that doesn't kind of get put out there in the public domain, or if it does, not everyone kind of gets a chance to see it. I mean, join the Trust, and I'm sure you'll be getting regular emails and things like that. swfctrust.co.uk. If anyone was wondering, I'll put it in the comments as well. But yeah, can you just share, James, some of the work that's been done, and kind of there's multiple different groups in the Trust working on various different things at the moment.
Yeah, so we've done a lot of reorganising behind the scenes in the last few months, and the way we work now is, rather than everything going through the board, which just took forever and bogged everyone down and created too much work and meant decisions were not getting made and things were getting lost, we've moved towards a more kind of decentralised system. So we've kind of put people into groups of areas of work that they're really interested in. So we've got things like the finance team who are working on all the kind of financial activism stuff that we've done, and have done a lot of work around the kind of boycott campaigning. And then we've got Jake and Otto leading our protest team, who do the match day protests and some of the social media stuff. We've got a comms team developing. We've got a community team growing as well at the moment. It's early days, but what it's allowed us to do is, rather than kind of everything going through a WhatsApp group or just 12 people, we've kind of pushed decisions down to a more local level, and it just means we're way more active, effective, and it means we can get a lot more done and provide a much greater effective challenge to Dayfon Chansiri. So just for example, this week we had we published an update on the campaign challenging the use of facial recognition. That was Monday. Also on Monday, while we were doing that, we had a team meet with the Minister for Sport, Stephanie Peacock, and some of the civil servants at the Department of Culture, Media and Sport. Tomorrow we're publishing some research on Dayfon Chansiri's Thai business empire, such as it is. It's a bit pitiful and pathetic, but such as it is, we're going to publish it and let everybody know what's been going off there. So we do a lot, I think, is the key answer, and there's a lot of work goes into it, a lot of dedicated time and effort, and everyone on this board puts a hell of a lot of time in. And when the story's written about this history, they're all going to be heroes.
Yeah, again, I think I've mentioned it many times. I just want to stress as well that you guys and everyone else that's involved, you're all volunteers, aren't you? You're not doing this for money. You don't get paid to do this. And I'm sure, each one of you would rather not be doing this level of things. Obviously, I'm sure you want to be connected with the trust, but not doing things to this sort of level. Because James, I bet it's just taking up, and everyone else, just so much of your time at the moment. Like, how much time is being dedicated to doing this amongst, as well as your day job as well?
Well, I mean, to be honest, it's another full-time job on top of a full-time job. And, Jake and I have got young families as well, where I should be putting my son to bed right now. I'm here talking to you guys. I'm sure Jake's in a similar position. So it is really hard. And we do need that buy-in from fans to make our job a little bit easier. We do need the other supporters groups to step up like the London Owls did, so we can support them and pass on our experience rather than be managing and leading and organising everything. But ultimately, we're doing it for Sheffield Wednesday Football Club, for our families, for the community, and I can't speak for Ian and Jake, but I wouldn't want to not be involved. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Ian, I'm just going to come to you in terms of the engagement panel. So came out of the weekend that the Trust have resigned from the engagement panel following a democratic vote from the members. What's your thoughts on that whole kind of decision and kind of now not being part of the engagement panel? Because as mentioned, it was put to a vote and the vote was to now not be on it.
Yeah. When I've originally became chair, one of my tasks was to try and get back on the engagement panel, believe it or not. And I still think that if it's not an engagement panel, an engagement setup with a club is important, but it needs to be on the fans' terms, not on the as it was the chairman's terms. And secondly, it needs to be a democratic setup and not just the club driving it and filtering the minutes, etc. We put the vote out there because I think it's not that we don't believe in engagement with the club, it's the fact that we don't believe engagement with Chansiri and the current regime, right? So that came across in the vote because I'll give the figures out because I know people are asking, right? So it was 57% in favour of leaving and 43% in favour of staying on a big turnout, about 75% turnout of the paid up members, right? So it was a good turnout, good representation. Now the feedback from that is that people want to engage with the club, but not with him and not in its current setup. Now, I've met most of the people, if not, or in fact, all of them on the engagement panel. I've worked with them, and some of them are really good people. Some of them are their heart's in the right place. You cannot have a go at people like the ladies group or the women's group who actually fight for their little enclave and everybody else. Chris at Rainbow Owls does a fantastic job in very trying circumstances, and there's several others. The Armed Forces guys who were on there, do a fantastic job for the exit. So you cannot knock them people. They are.
Ian, just on that as well. I said this at the weekend. like people joined this engagement panel not to try and get the chairman out of the football club. They joined it to try and make change just on the just on a match day and all the other stuff way back when. Like, do you know what I mean? This is not just a new thing now. This was something that was started quite a few years ago that the EFL said that this had to happen. And I was saying how, the people that are now sat around that table, the goalposts have moved massively. And now it's gone from a meeting that, let's be honest, like not a lot of people knew it either happened or when it happened or anything that happened in the background. Maybe if you're part of one of the groups that was on it, maybe you knew a little bit more. But now it's gone to something that, if it was live streamed, as I know was mentioned on as one of the requirements, you would get probably 20, 30,000 people watching what was happening. You know what I mean? It's from nothing to something that's like kind of everyone's looking at now. So it's the people that are on it, like absolutely zero disrespect to them, but it's not the same as what it was like first intended to be, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely not. And I think what you've just described is how it started off. Yeah, it started off as fans having a say in, I don't know how hot your Bovril is, how many turnstiles are open, whatever the latest fashion was, or what they were talking about. The serious stuff in there as well, like no hot water in the toilets, no running water in the toilets, people struggling to get in, access for disabled people, etc., etc. Some real good stuff that were discussed. But it got to the stage where some of the people on the EP are not political, and we understand that. Right, but what I don't want is infighting amongst fans, and it got to that stage, right? So that's one of the reasons we put it to a vote to our people. Is it fit for purpose? No, it's not fit for purpose. Was it there as what you've just described? It wasn't like that at all. Was he dictating everything that came out? Yes, he was. Well, the other fans groups doing, some were, some weren't. Right, some were happy to sit on the top table, if you want to call it that. And I think it came to an end in the one that came up when he first didn't pay the wages, emergency meeting, a massive just debacle, and that's when it ended for me. That was the first meeting I'd been to, first official meeting. It just collapsed, right? And it proved exactly what had been going on for a long time. These guys have gone with good ideas, nothing had been listened to. Mouthpiece goes in and causes mayhem, mate. That's exactly what happened. Yeah, exactly.
I think I'm right in saying as well, this engagement panel, there needs to be a certain number that has to take place over the course of a 12-month period or a season. Is that right, Ian?
That's right. I think there has to be definitely 4, right? But he needs to be more. That's one every quarter, if you like. So he's now, if the engagement panel, what's left of it is suspended and they don't meet, he's breaking EFL rules. Yep. So I mean, I'm glad they've done that. I'm glad they've made that move. I wish they'd have done it earlier. They probably wouldn't have lost North Yorkshire Owls. They probably wouldn't have lost Armed Forces Owls, and they probably wouldn't have lost if they'd have done it and acted earlier. That's all I can say on that. Yeah.
Yeah. Does there have to be a minimum number of people on the engagement panel? Do you know, in order for it to actually?
When I've read it, I've never seen anything like that. There has to be fans representatives. That's what it says. So I would imagine if they're a legitimate fans group, they're entitled to try and get on. But again, the chairman chose who were on there.
Yeah. Jake, I'll come back to you in terms of the protests and stuff. Jake, there's been calls for protests to quote unquote go up a notch. What do you say to those people?
I suppose it depends how that looks, doesn't it? I mean, look, as a trust, there's certain rules, there's certain things we can't do. If you look at Reading, they had Sell Before We Die, so they had a anonymous group, if you like. I think we used to have one of them, but everybody wanted to know the names, so that disappeared. The trust can't take it to the top notch. Obviously, we can keep putting pressure on. We can keep doing, what we can do.
And that's because obviously your links with the EFL, Jake, isn't it? Really, that's because you're in constant dialogue as a trust with the English Football League. So
not just that, James. If you take, I didn't really want to go down this route, but I'm going to anyway. Right? If you take the top level of protest or what everybody thinks is the pinnacle, get on pitch. You hear it, pitch, right? Reading did that, and they didn't get sold till 2 years after. So once you've been on pitch, what the bloody hell do you do a week after? I understand it. People want it, but it's not the be all and end all. And it can't be organised by a trust. So, that has to be organised elsewhere. The trust can do everything that we're doing and keep building and building, but there are boundaries, of course there are, as a trust.
You can't encourage people to commit a crime, can you? And it's a crime to run off pitch. It's against ground regulations and it's a criminal offence. How can we ask somebody to run off pitch and then them get nicked and probably lose the job or lose the whatever? It's impossible. And with this, and I'm sure we'll come on to it later on, but with the facial recognition stuff down there, they can nick everybody if they want to. So can we encourage that? No, we can't encourage illegality. You can't. We're a democratic organisation. We're organised. It's not like we're invisible. They can come on to us straight away and have a go at us. So we've got to be really careful what we encourage. And I get people want it stepping up a notch. And Jake and Otto were organising it, are coming on to some really good protests. And they'll be visible and they'll be organised. But we can't encourage illegality.
Can I just say one thing on this? That Leicester protests were far more effective than running on pitch.
Yeah.
It genuinely were. It genuinely were. I'm not just saying that. It were. I know people are angry. People want to get on pitch. I want to get on pitch, but we can't. Right. So people are angry. People want the pinnacle of protest. But what effect does it have any more than being plastered all over the news? All you're going to get from that is be plastered all over the news.
I spoke to a journalist before that game, before the Leicester game, and he said it was the most attended game from the weekend by the national press. And obviously there was even the Community Shield was also on that same day as well, which just shows you kind of how many people wanted to be there and covering it. They had the local news, had the national news. It was all over everywhere, weren't it, really? There's been a lot of coverage since as well. There's been quite a lot of comments in regards to the bin bag protest. One from Adam here. How will the bin bag protest work if people will be in the seats? It won't be seen. Should people leave 5 minutes before the end? I don't know, Jake, I don't know if you want to answer that. I know it's not the trust that have...
technically a trust protest, but I suppose if you want it to be effective, put it over at seat just before the final whistle and walk out, and hopefully all them white seats will be disappeared, because every comment that you read on Facebook and Twitter and whatever, people want that name removing. Then when somebody, the 1867 group, gives people the option, it gets ridiculed. So, like, if you want to put a bag on your seat, put a bag on your seat. But that's not from trust. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. James, another question here from Alex. Is there enough info from Chansiri's business affairs to have him sanctioned by the EFL? I don't know if you want to answer that one or not. Feel free to swerve it and just say to people, have a look tomorrow, but it's up to you.
No, I can answer it directly. The answer is no, partly because EFL rules around owner and disqualifying tests are incredibly high. Criteria to meet, which is essentially legality. So there's nothing we found in that report tomorrow that suggests illegality. Is it embarrassing for him? Yes. As Jake mentioned, the whole trust protest strategy is about making Chansiri's life at Sheffield Wednesday uncomfortable. Some of that's legal challenges, some of that's financial challenges, some of that's reputational damage through really well executed protests, like at Leicester that Jake's mentioned, like at the Thai embassy. But some of it's also just putting some stuff out there that, is causes reputational damage, and it's a bit embarrassing for him, like the fact that his Thai businesses are small, loss making. None of them have made a profit since 2019. The only engagement panel Ian attended, Dave von Chansiri basically told Ian, and I'm paraphrasing here, a lengthy monologue by the chairman in the minutes, but he basically told Ian to be quiet because Ian's businesses were not on a par with his. Well, I'll say this to the chairman: Ian's businesses make a profit and yours don't. So maybe, just maybe, you should have actually been aware of your own business empires and Ian's before you started throwing a little bit of mud.
Well, if there's another fans forum, I think it costs about £12 to register a company on Company's House. I think what we should all do is register a company, and then we can all ask him a question, in his eyes anyway. So that will be quite fun. There's another question here from Nick. James, I know you're kind of involved in a lot of the money side of things, but Nick's asked, do the Trust, Nick's a member on our Patreon, by the way, do the Trust have an idea where all of last season's ticket money has gone? Let's say average season ticket was £500 and we sold 20,000. Where has £10 million gone between December and not being able to pay wages from March onwards? Do you have any kind of, I suppose you're not going to know definitively because we haven't seen those accounts, and I suppose the accounts won't really tell us that either, but do you have any sort of inkling as to where that money's disappeared to?
No, to be honest, and if
Does
I did,
it shock
I
you that money's gone as well? Like that money has disappeared so quick.
It's an incredible sum of money. I mean, so it's an incredible sum of money, isn't it? I mean, the assumption is that he had creditors to that value that needed paying off, plus 3 or 4 months' wage bill, and the 10 million was gone. That's the logical explanation, is that he just owed people a lot of money and it just went in one side of the club, and within a very short space of time it went out the other side. But Chansiri's financial model at Sheffield Wednesday since the very beginning really has been, robbing Peter to pay Paul. So he's been taking in money one side and paying it out the other. You can see that by selling season tickets early, all the ridiculous schemes around Club 1867, 10-year season tickets. It's all about bringing income forward to pay your bills, essentially. And what's happened is after 10 years, it's took a long time, but all of that has caught up with him and he's now got no money. He can't, as far as we know at this moment in time, he's not found anybody to lend to him, despite trying very hard, we've been told. And on all that bad financial mismanagement has just caught up with him and created the crisis that we're currently in.
James, I know there's been a lot of calls for boycotts and things like that in terms of spending. The last we heard, 80% down on match day takings. That was a unconfirmed report from the first home game of the season against Stoke. I suppose as a trust, I guess you quite is proud the wrong word, but I guess proud of the fact that fans have actually stuck to the word and not bought the shirts. Because I must admit, I have not seen many, if any, shirts. The only ones I've seen, little kids that have been wearing them, certainly at the game anyway, and they might not even be legitimate ones either. But we'll leave that. But does it kind of encourage you that people are choosing to stay away from spending at the football club?
Yeah, definitely for me.
Yeah, absolutely does. Yeah. So Jake mentioned earlier about Sheffield Wednesday.
I think there's a bit of a delay there.
I think Jake mentioned earlier about
James, I don't know if you want to just jump off and jump back on again. The internet's a bit choppy there. You've got my problem. Put 50 pence in meter and it might come back on. Ian, just want to fill in whilst James sorts himself
sure.
out.
I think for me that's one of the big successes. People not purchasing in the ground, starving with ready cash. That obviously the boycott of the Leeds game. Hopefully, we get around to it. The boycott of the Grimsby game will be as well. It just stars him a readies, and that for me, and proud is a word. I'm proud of people sticking to it because it's difficult. If you've got kids, it's difficult. I'm nagging you. It's difficult when you go for a pint at half time. It's difficult if you haven't eaten and you need something to eat and you're racing into the game. It's very hard. But I don't think the prices help either. People can't afford to eat or drink there. But obviously, when you ask them to boycott, it's brilliant. One of the things I would like to touch on is we've asked for 3 things: don't spend in the shop, don't spend in the ground, don't buy tickets for the cup games. If one of them is successful, that helps. If all 3, that's a grand slam, innit? You know what I mean? So any kind of protest you're helping. Jake touched on it earlier. Anything that helps the protest to get this bloke out of our club is more than welcome. And I can't say to people, you've got to do all 3. You can't tell people what to do. You can't. You can ask them. You can point them in direction. But if they do 1 of them, 2 of them, 3 of them. And I had this with your rival the other day in London. I was talking to
hey, we're not rivals. We are, colleagues in all of this.
Yeah,
there's no rivalry there, Ian.
And
That's not what he said.
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, so
I've been speaking to him earlier on this morning. Actually,
Jake had a few pints with Fudgy. I think it's a few home truths were coming out, weren't they, outside that booth after the protest. But but I had this with him, and I explained the point that we want everybody to do it, but we don't necessarily need everybody to do it. One bit of those three is fantastic. Then if they come up with something themselves, absolutely brilliant. The stuff Jake and Otto are organising is so good. If we can make that stick, do this 10-minute thing as well, make that stick. I'm sure we'll come on to that later on. But every game, do something on 10 minutes, make it stick regular. It's working. The pressure's working. There's stuff going on behind the scenes that James won't talk about, and I know he won't. And I know we all want to. But there's other stuff going off. We know what's happening. We know what's happening with the loan note. We know he's under massive pressure, whether he survives it or not. If he does, I'm sure the government's heading for him. You've heard Lisa and Andy speaking today. They've got him in the sights. He's the poster boy. He's the one they're going to do. Whether he likes it or not, that's going to happen. So it's going to happen. It's when and how much damage he's done by then. So we try and maximise what we're doing. I'll shut up now, James. All right, mate.
It's all right. Jake, in terms of protests then, again, I mean, for those that don't know, I mean, it's not just as easy, is it, just coming up with an idea and then just kind of running with it? I mean, what sort of planning has gone into some of these protests that you've already organised?
Yeah, I mean, it takes a hell of a lot of work, no matter what protest it is, daft as it sounds, even smaller ones, take Leicester one, for example. You've got to get in touch with Leicester. You've got to make sure that they're going to allow what you're going to do. You've got to comms it. You've got to make sure it's safe. And that's probably the easiest one we've done, But then you've got to make people feel like what you're doing is right. There's a hell of a lot of work goes into the comms side without the organisational side. Now, if you go to some like leaflets, which I'm sick to my teeth of, I'm sure everybody else is.
You were telling me earlier, Jake. I mean, how long were it taking you to, because sure, they just turn up in boxes and then they just miraculously end up where they need to be, don't they, Jake?
Yeah. To put 20,000 leaflets in Hillsborough Stadium, mate, is not easy. Trust me. But the thing with that is, I did want to touch on this, so I'm glad you mentioned it. This isn't a leaflet protest on Saturday. And people say, "Oh, you're doing leaflets again." The reason that we're doing leaflets, right, is because there's not everybody's on Twitter. My dad's not. I keep sending him stuff. Hey, Dad, read this. Look what Trust are doing. He's going, "Knobhead, I'm not on Twitter." So he doesn't know what's going off. Obviously, he's a Trust member, but he doesn't necessarily see his emails. He'll not watch podcasts. So it's important. We've got a lot of fans in that ground that aren't listening to this, aren't active on social media. So we need to get a message out to them. So the backside of the flyer is all about what the Trust are doing and how you can get involved, which I think is really important. So we're not that bothered whether everybody gets one this time or not. We're just trying to get them to as many people as we possibly can. It's not a flyer demonstration. What it does touch on back of that flyer is that we're going to we're trying to get 10 minutes to be the norm, like for every game. And the reason that we're doing that is, in my eyes, I'd like to do it for 90 minutes. I'd like to turn up on that first minute and sing on repeat, Chancery out. But we know that we can't do that. So we're going to have a dedicated timer every match, 10 minutes. Now, on that 10th minute, whether that's, in this case, holding a flyer again for last time, and I apologise, or whether it's holding a scarf, which we've got some scarves. So basically, we're trying to get out thousands and thousands of scarves. We've got 1,000 coming for Saturday, and that's just literally because that work time frame that's the most it could do in the time frame. There'll be more coming week and week and week. On the 10th minute of every match, we want everybody to make a protest, whatever that protest is for that week. But by earmarking a minute of the 10th minute, everybody gets used to it. So we do it no matter what. Like instead of us turning up at home and it being flat and, oh God, like we're 2-0 down, it's rubbish. This 10th minute, at least there's some action every week, because people want protests every week, but I'll be honest, it's just not even feasible to plan. The work that goes into it goes back onto what you asked. I've been up while 3 o'clock in the morning before counting balloons. Trust me, it's not easy. And we've got lots of helpers, but it's still, it'll still always fall on certain people to make sure it's a reality. So, in answer to your question, a bloody lot of hard work goes in. We have to get designs. We've got some great people like, we have Goose Creative that do us a lot of designs. We've got loads of people in comms teams. We've got loads of people helping. Volunteers are they're for me, they're heroes. Like, we get volunteers every time. But
I just want to say as well, just on this point, if anyone does want to help out, does want to volunteer or anything like that, get in touch with the trust. You go on their website, swfctrust.co.uk. You find them on X at SWFC Trust as well. Just contact him any which way possible. Carry a pigeon if you need to. If you've got any kind of if you've got an expertise in certain area, do get in touch. And if you want to help out and stuff, I'm sure you're absolutely crying out for as many people as you possibly can to actually to help.
Silly things like, and Jake will tell you, back of my car, all banners are in. I'm 66-year-old. I've got this massive banner wrapped around my head trying to carry it to game from a mile away from ground. Just two lads came along, give me a lift. How good's that? Get it in ground, get it in. You know what I mean? Just the practical side. His organisation goes to know if we can't deploy it when we get there. You know what I mean? So just people helping out, it just helps so much. Saturday, we need so many people. We've got one or two things going off, the scarf sales, the stickers. We're still handing out badges that people unbelievably are asking for, from membership. I've managed to find a few. We had a manufacturing problem, and I apologise to people if they've been waiting for trust membership badges. We've got them. Just somebody doing things like that helps so much, right, to make it run smooth. All I want to do is go for a pint, go in game, watch game, and go for a pint after and go home, like we all do. We want to return to normality. And if we've got an engagement panel that we touched on earlier, or trust still running, we want to be positive and help out in community. And perhaps, I don't know, sponsor academy, something like that, just to get everything moving in the right direction from where it is. And all those volunteers will not go to waste, and they're all very, very well thought on. Jake will always put something out on X thanking them. We always thank them personally. And it's not being condescending. It's not. We're just front of it, aren't we? People behind it matter. People who support Wednesday have got it in their heart. And it's a plea. It's a plea for everybody, for all fans, all across the board. And I've said this a dozen times. I can't believe what support we've got. We've got lads from 70s and 80s supporting us. We've got corporate supporting us. There's an unholy alliance between fans. The ones that shout and scream are in the massive minority now. Whereas when Jake first started with 1867, they were in the majority, and they had a go at them and made them feel unwelcome. What a turnaround that is. And it just shows what the support can do if we all pull together. And it's a cry for that. It's a cry for no negativity. If you don't want to get involved, don't say, don't be negative, right? If you want to get involved, help out on a practical basis. If you, like you said, James, if you've got any super skills that are helpful, comms is always good. Design, like Jake said, we've got a company, but anybody comes up with ideas, brilliant. And that's what we're about now. We're open, we're honest, it's democratic. You can get voted onto the board if you want. If you want to come on, James, I've asked you. You told me to fuck off, didn't you, mate? So,
I'm spinning so many plates, Ian. It's unreal at the moment.
That's not bad for me. That's first swear word, mate. All right.
It's all good. There's a couple of comments here that came in fairly early on. To be fair, one from Big Jim. Is there any updates on about the 2 weeks takeover? On the same vein, Mark's asked any news on this 2 weeks takeover news that's going around.
Funny enough, I've spoke to Si with an I today. Yeah,
right, okay.
He's actually contacted me. Si with an I. Si with a Y has rung me earlier, but I was coming on here. But Si with an I has contacted me today, and he says there was somebody very much in the frame, but chance here he's moved the goalposts again. Right. So
announce my shock, Ian, that's happened. I mean, even earlier today, it was revealed that Josh Windass said exactly the same thing, that he was offered apparently going to have a new deal on better terms, and that never happened either. So it does not surprise me one bit, Ian. I'm sure it doesn't surprise you that that's happened either.
No, and I'm glad Si with an I, and I'll keep saying it, not Si with a Y. Right? Si with an I has actually contacted us. I asked him on Twitter or whatever it were when he'd been on Punk Chef's podcast to contact us, and he has done. He's gone out of his way and done it. He seems a straight enough kid. He does seem in the know. ITK, as they said, aren't they? You're big internet man, aren't you? Yeah, so you must be ITK, James. But you're
I hate that three letter abbreviation. It annoys me somewhat, that one. It's either news or it ain't news. There's no ITK.
That's right.
And all
that's
that.
right. But he did seem to know quite a bit and quite a bit about the structure and stuff. So whether he's genuine, I think I've no reason to disbelieve him, to be honest, James. He sounds quite a good kid. So, and I've told him to keep in touch, and if he is out, and vice versa, because I've got his number now. So if you want to put his number on podcast, I'll put it up for everyone to ring.
But, I mean, Ian, does it surprise you though that this has happened? Let's just take it that this is genuine for a moment, that someone was ready and available, and then the goalposts, in his words, have been moved once again. Does it surprise you?
No, not at all. And I'm just trying to figure out why. That's the problem. I can't come to an answer why he'd do it unless there's something in the background that he's working on, where he's keeping control at club somehow by some fake over. I'm going to use that term now, not take over, fake over. That somebody else comes to the fore. It looks like there's somebody come on a white steed, and really it's Chansiri or his cohorts that have done it just to put everybody off the scent. I don't know. That's a conspiracy theory. It's only my theory. It's not the trust theory. I've just got concerns that something like that's good. Why would he not sell? He must know that every day, if he legitimately wants to sell, it's going down in price. He must do. This problem with the ground. Why wouldn't he bail out before it all hits the fan? I genuinely don't know, mate. And I'm sure you don't. Everybody's as confused as everybody else, and probably us in the position we're in, the trust in you, probably get to know more genuine stuff than most people. But it's still nothing, is it? It's a drop in the ocean.
Yeah, he's got to the point where there's that many rumours flying around that I don't know what is true and what isn't true at the moment, and people who initially come to you with legitimate information. I'm not saying it's not legitimate, but that information never, apologies, comes to fruition anymore. So it's got to a point where it's a bit of a minefield at the moment when it comes to it. Jake, I mean, my worry is that he's just going to struggle on and get to a point where he can afford to run the football club, or the football club becomes sustainable, which is what we all want at the end of the day, but not by getting rid of all your players and just playing your under-21 squad and paying them absolute peanuts and dropping through the leagues. But is that your worry? I mean, James has dropped off. He needs to put 50 pence in his meter for internet, and he's not coming back on. So I am going to give this one to you.
Am I getting all good questions there?
Yeah, well, we're just throwing it around. But I just want to get your opinion, really, as a fan, as a Sheffield Wednesday fan, like we all are. Kind of what's your hunch and what's your gut feeling of what's going to happen to Sheffield Wednesday?
Do you know what, that is an hard one, isn't it? Like, because
it's just your feeling. What's your gut feeling right now?
No, because at the minute we're playing a massive game of Where's Wally, aren't we? We've no idea where he is, so therefore we're getting no information. So I honestly don't know. I mean, my gut says that he can't continue to fund it. But he's obviously been helped out in past, because you've only got to look at, the businesses that we mentioned before in Thailand not having made any profit. So there's obviously a gap that somebody's plugging. He's getting money from somewhere, or he has been. I mean, obviously we believe him past it. It would have been his family. I think they're probably even fed up with him now. So it's like if the money keeps coming in to get him out of the shit, for want of a better word, then yeah, we could be this time next year speaking like that. But we've got to stay positive, haven't we?
Yeah, I think the season ticket thing, if you bring
that's the massive one,
the big one, isn't it? Yeah,
that's the thing that we can all do.
Delay it or not buy. That's right.
So look at it this way: if next year there's no fans in ground, what has he got left? He can't buy any players. you know, he's not got any revenue. What's left? What's left in it for him? And it's a really hard one. This, like, so I want to link it to my personal position because I think that's important. You know, I've got a 6-year-old that loves going at match every week. My dad's 75. He's been taking me since 04. He's been, he had a season ticket from the minute there were a such thing, and he's been going since we were 5. 3 generations of Wednesday fan that go every week, and we've never missed it, and we love it. It's a thing that we've got together that we do every Saturday. That's something that I'm willing to give up next year, and I never thought them words would come out of my mouth. You know, I've seen John Beswetherick, I've seen Kim Olsen, and I've seen all the Tidman, and I didn't.
The halcyon days, Jake.
Yeah, and I didn't bugger it off then. So for me, players aren't obviously an issue, and that's the sad thing. But I'm willing to give up them times that we have. That, you know, once my dad's gone, and this sounds a bit morbid, but we're never going to have that opportunity to make these memories. But the current version of Sheffield Wednesday is not suitable for the next generation, the generation after that. And we've got to think long term here. We've almost got to take ourselves away from it and go, well, do we want something better for our kids? And you know, my lad, it's so sad because I've took him since he was 3, and he watches games. He's really weird for a 6-year-old. He watches no iPad, nothing. He watches all match. But if we want a better Wednesday for him, you know, and we want him to see players like Arsodi, Canio, Carbone, you know, I'm a bit young for Waddle. I saw it back end. But we really, really, really need to make this stand. We need to get him out, and we need to give that to the next generation. We owe it to him. And I'll make that stand as much as it'll kill me. And that's the only way I think. You know, we need to show him this season as well that's what it's going to look like next season. So we might need to look at a boycott for everybody this season, even season ticket holders, to show him what that ground will look like next season. Have it empty for one game and say that's what it's going to look like next season if you don't do one. You know what I mean? And it seems drastic, but that's better, by the way, than running on pitch or lobbing tennis balls, because that's one thing that you can't deal with. You
mentioned there about like your kids and what have you, and I don't think you'll mind me saying, but Elliot, one of our Patreon members, he put in the chat earlier, you know, that he's got a decision to make this weekend. His lad, I think his lad's 4 or 5 years old, been pestering him to go to a football match, go to a game. He's looked, it's 11 quid to get a ticket. He's already a season ticket holder, but his lad really, really wants to go. And he's having to question whether or not he gets a ticket to take his lad. I presume it might be his first football game that he's been to. And he's kind of like, I don't know if a decision's been made, whether he's going to deny his child, you know, a chance to go to a football match that he desperately wants to go to. And they don't know, do they? They don't understand. You know, my lad, he's 4 years old, he's nearly 5, just started school. He doesn't understand when it comes to all this. He knows the players. You know, he knows Barry Bannon. He nearly reduced to tears when I told him Josh Windass had left. But yeah, we shouldn't have to be having these difficult conversations with children.
No, and let's be honest, James, it's not in our nature to not go, is it? Because you know that as a football club, we've got a great reputation for going, no matter how dire we are, like on the pitch. But this is different. This is different to being crap and bottom at league. This is different to, you know, anything we've ever seen before. This is a bloke that's in hiding in Thailand with no respect for any of us. And are we going to give him respect next season and give him cash? Because we have to show him that enough. Like, I know I've just paraphrased. Enough is enough. Like, enough has been enough for a long bloody time, and we've got to show him that next season. Well, have your football club, mate, but there'll only be you there. Oh, he won't be there, so he ain't come. But, you know, show him that, yeah, go on, have it then. And there'll be Paxal sat in that box on his own. That's the way to show him.
Yeah, exactly. Ian, before we kind of wrap things up, and so I've got Andy that might want to ask a question, so I'll come to Andy in a second. He's on X Spaces if anyone else wants to do exactly the same. But the independent regulator, Ian, do you think that is our best chance of getting Dapon Chansiri out of the football club? Because like we've mentioned before, he doesn't have any kind of intention of selling the club, and if you did have any intention of selling it, let's be right, you would have done it a long time ago. He's had ample opportunity. So are you hopeful that the independent regulator will do something?
From all the noises that are coming out, and obviously there's been something being in Parliament today, Clive's working on it all the time. We had a meeting with the minister Monday, Jake? I can't remember now, mate. Yeah. And things are going on that quick, you forget. But yes, I am hopeful. I'm hopeful because when they outlined the things that they can enforce on existing owners, I think there were 6 things that can exclude him, and he's already broke 5. James will probably back that up if he were here. But yeah, so yes, I am hopeful. How long that'll take and whether there'll be anything left of the club when it happens is something different. And then he's still got the fact that he can probably sell to who he wants to, because that's what happened at Reading, innit? They could still pick a sale, and that would be my worry, that he sells to somebody else again that's part of the clan, if you like. Yeah. But just going back on about supporters and that, I don't think even at that level that people understand that the passion and the involvement of Wednesdayites and what a special football club this is, and where the supporters are. And that's why everybody falls out, because they've all got difference of opinion. They all want to be involved. They all want to try and help this fantastic away following. Why people are torn, because they need the points to get tickets for away games. Things like that. It's just that. It's not an excuse, but that is what's involved. And when you go back to not being able to boycott a game, you go back to, can we do that? Can we do it as a fan base? Because it's in his heart. And I think he plays on that. And that's why I think, going back to your question, the regulator is probably the way out. But how long it'll take, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about kind of boycotts and stuff, I've just had a look now for the Grimsby game, obviously 3rd round of the Carabao Cup on next Tuesday. I'm just looking at the tickets as well, and not one block is sold out. Normally, well, these only the South Stand open. You look at block CC, I think it is, which is on the halfway line. There's still a decent amount of tickets left. You look at the one behind the dugout, that is the next popular, that's the most popular one. There's only a few tickets there, but you look at the blocks either side of that, and there's literally hardly any tickets sold. It looks like
just to go on from that, and I don't think I've told you, Jake, but we booked Wolseley Bridge again. Yeah. So
I've seen the comment. Yes, Jez, we're doing watch along at Wolseley Bridge.
Yeah, Wolseley Bridge. So if it's not freezing cold, we can raining, we can watch it outside, or there's a 400+ room inside with a massive screen. Yeah.
I'm just gonna mention that as well, actually, because he said watch along. I mean, I don't think it just means like everyone else watching it, but I am going to be doing a watch along. I was going to do it from the comfort of my own home. I will be there at Wolseley Bridge. I'll be doing it live at Wolseley Bridge, so it'd be good to. I won't be doing it by myself. I've got plenty of microphones. We can get plenty of other people in, different slots and stuff, giving your thoughts on the game. Hopefully, we're cheering a few goals that the kids have scored against the what do they call themselves? The fishermen. It's not fishermen, is it? What they call Grimsby? What's their nickname? It's eluded me now, but they're going to be bringing a lot of fish along, aren't they? But mariners, that's it. Fishermen is much better. Fishermen's much better.
Yeah, I think they should change it.
I think they should definitely. But no, I will be there.
Used to love going to Fleethorpes to see Finder's fish stand. It were brilliant on way on Main Road.
It's Young's. Is it Young's now? I think
Young's now. Yeah.
Can I just say on that? Sorry, can I just say on Wolseley Bridge thing, because it is important. It does crop up. Obviously, we don't want everybody that would be going to Hillsborough going to Wolseley Bridge. Like there's other pubs, around, and I think Hillsborough Tap were one of the ones that called out and sort of said, what about us? Yeah, like go where you'd normally go. But if you want to come to Wolseley Bridge, that'd be great. It don't really matter how many people's at Wolseley Bridge. It's just good to get together, especially as a trust, and then and get more people to come and have a chat with us and get involved. So yeah, all pubs around the ground, because let's be real here, they're all missing out here, with these boycotts and stuff. There's a lot of local businesses suffering as a result of Chancery's actions and ours by default. So yeah, just support your local pub if you can. I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, definitely. Right, I'm going to come to Peter. He's over on Twitter Spaces. I think he wants to say a few things. Peter, mate, how's things? You all right?
Things I wanted to say was well done to both Ian and Jake, and obviously James, who's lost his connection. Like you've said many times tonight, it's a thankless task at times running an organisation like the Trust or getting involved and being part of the committee and that. And I do know Jake and I know Ian, and it's a nightmare for getting hold of on the phone, but he does eventually call you back, and he must have thousands. He does have thousands of well, not thousands, but hundreds of calls a day, and it might be 2 or 3 days until he gets back to you, but you're always getting an honest answer off him, and that is appreciated, Ian. So thank you very much indeed, and to Jake for all your efforts in organising and the gathering of the sort of the troops, if you want to call it that. It's really, really encouraging as a Wednesday fan to know that the people who care enough to get involved. It's really good, and it's without these guys, it's God knows what situation we'd be in. We have got to keep the pressure up, like Jake said. The man is virtually on his knees, or he is on his knees, and we've got to make sure that we're there at the end. What I can't wait for is the atmosphere in the stadium, and this is one of the things that's keeping me going. Is the atmosphere in the stadium what it will be like the first game after he's gone? Because I'm hoping that as Wednesday fans, whoever we're playing that first game when he's gone, we sell it out, we pack it to the rafters, and we make it a Peterborough style atmosphere, and that's what we've got to aim for now, and keep ourselves together. Really, so it's a thanks to you guys. I'm not trying to blow smoke up your backsides, even though it might sound like but thank you to both of you.
Yeah, great stuff, Peter. Thanks for that.
Cheers,
just a quick plug as well. Peter is the man behind the Everywhere and Nowhere fanzine as well. So you'll see him outside the ground on Saturday before the Bristol City game. So if you want to pick up one of his fanzines, that you can do. There's a nice little piece on Svante Ingolson in there, even if I do say so myself. But there's not many mentions of Dejphon Chansiri either. A lot of.
I've spoiled that this one. I think I've got it. I might have spoiled that. I hadn't used his name though.
No, that's fine. But no, you can pick that up. You can also, if you're not going to be at the game on Saturday, then go to our shop and you can get one there. And Peter will gladly post one out to you as soon as he possibly can. So have a look at that. Before we wrap it up, Jake, just want to kind of, for those that don't know what's happening on Saturday, just kind of outline what's happening with the protest against Bristol City.
Yeah, so we backed a couple of 1867 group protests. They've got one, the bag of seat one. I mean, if you go onto their X, it explains it in a bit more detail. But essentially,
I actually sit in one of those white seats, Jake. I'll have you know. So
right, okay. So essentially, if you're in a white seat, bring a bag or bring several. There'll be people outside North Stand handing them out. There's been lots of comments on Twitter. Well, if you change them all to a different colour, it'll still say Chansiri. It just make it absolute bedlam. No, different colour seats, bin bags all over the place. Just make sure it doesn't say Chansiri, according to 1867 group. And then basically moving on from that, the Trust have got the scarves, which we're going to be selling from 1 o'clock. We've got 4 locations. They'll be £5. We're actually making a slight loss on them, so that they're going to get rolled out at cost as much as we possibly can. We're trying to get every Wednesday fan to have a black and gold scarf. I think Man United had done it before. We're going to do it better than them, like we did in '91. So
just want to say that if you have got a black scarf or a yellow scarf or a black and yellow scarf, it'd be even better. Bring it along on Saturday as well, just because there is only a limited number of those scarves, isn't there, Jake?
So there's 1,000 this week, and then a 1,000 to 2,000 every week thereafter until everybody's got one. Like they're not. This is going to be rolled out until everybody's got one, because obviously we're trying to push this, especially as we're coming into winter. You know, the black and gold shirts have been unbelievable, and you know, and everybody seems to be wearing them. But when weather turns and you've got a coat on, that's going to disappear, isn't it? So if
you can get one of them fancy hoodies that you've got behind you there, Jake, can't you?
Oh, that's there, yeah, or a Leighton Palmer t-shirt. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway,
we all got them.
Oh, look at this! They've got all the merch. They've got. What was that you were drinking out of, Jake, earlier? Oh, here we go. Look, yeah.
It's not official merch. It's just a sticker, which I'll come on to, obviously. So yeah, we've got the scarves. Like I said, there's 1,000. These 4 places where you can get them. If people can bring cash, that'd be great. We have got a card machine, but I'm guessing, you know, we've never used it before, and we don't want internet connection issues as a trust. Sorry, James.
Make sure James done.
Yeah. So essentially, we'll have the scarves. There is these leaflets, these 15,000 leaflets around the ground. So they'll be handed out. Again, I apologise that it's a leaflet protest. It's more of an information leaflet. But obviously, hold them up on 10 minutes for old time's sake. It's a retro protest. I'm using that word now. And yeah, so the stickers at all them 4 places. Obviously, use them creatively. Don't go sticking them all over the ground with it. See that happen. And apart from that, banners is the big one. Obviously, we've been banned from banners. The club have suppressed our right to protest. I can't tell you to take banners in, but you know, that's everybody's prerogative, isn't it? Black and gold theme continues. 10 minutes, everybody stand up. Massive chants. Big atmosphere, as big as it can be for the amount of people in there. And let's keep it going. Keep it going for as much at match as we possibly can.
I just want to say on that before we finish, I thought the game against Swansea, obviously before the international break, there was a sustained period of probably at least 10 minutes. I mean, it might have even been longer, where that chant was constantly going. It kept ebbing and flowing. It kept going up and it kept going down again. I think every time, we had a chance or an effort or there was a save or whatever, it went up again a notch. And you know what, it was quite, I don't want to say moving, but it was, it got going, and you're thinking, you know what, it's the most that I've heard at Hillsborough, and it has been difficult at times for chance to get going and stuff like that away from home. Obviously, it's quite vociferous, and that's always a good one. But at Hillsborough, it has been a bit like a morgue sometimes. But no, I think that we need to certainly keep that going, and be interesting to see what happens on Saturday.
James, sorry, one more. Just obviously, don't forget the South Stand protest after, under the South Stand. Again, another retro protest. We're that bad as a club that we have to have retro protests.
Yeah, exactly. Ian, Jake, massive thanks for giving up your time this evening to come on and talk to me. Not only just myself, but everyone else that's been listening as well. And massive thanks to everyone that's been getting the questions in. The questions don't have to stop there. I'm sure you can field questions over on X, or you can drop the trust an email if there's anything that you want to know or anything like that. Do remember as well, though, that these guys are giving up their own time to do this. This is not their job. So, please don't hound them. If they don't get back to you, it's not on purpose. It's not, it's just, it's not they don't like you or anything like that. They are giving up all their time in order to do all this. So please do respect
just the
all
last
of that.
thing, me and Jakey are going down to Portsmouth, but we are stopping tonight. So if we seem a little bit worse for wear outside ground, please don't rile us up or upset us. All right, because the Captain Piss a lot will be looking for a toilet.
I'm absolutely busting, I'll be honest.
No problems. Thanks very much, everyone. Thanks everyone for watching as well. Do really appreciate it, and we'll see you all again on Sunday. Hopefully, talking about the first win of the season. Myself and Matt will be back talking you through all that. And again, on Tuesday for the Grimsby game, we're doing a watch along. We'll be there at Wards of the Bridge Working Men's Club live. So if you're down there, give me a shout. And you never know, I might get you sat next to me talking about the match as it goes on. But no, thank you very much, everyone, and we'll see you all next time.